This is my game, Goose Race. In Goose Race, you must compete with other players to get to the end of the board first. To do this, you must buy cards while also avoiding the dreaded wheel. At the beginning of the game, each player is given a piece and a card. On their card, it shows them how much money they have and the counter for their wheel. Next, players can either choose to roll, buy a card, or play their card. Each card can be used to help you in the game. For instance, this card is the easy money card. What this card can do is allow you to roll 2 die instead of 1. This card is the swap card. Whenever you use the swap card, it allows you to swap places with another player on the board. There's also another type of card called a spontaneous card. So this specific spontaneous card is called a Do It Again. And when a player rolls, another player can use their Do It Again card to make that player re-roll. There's also another type of spontaneous card called the No card. So what the No card will do is if you land on a space such as Go to Jail, now you can use your No card. And what your No card will do is it will negate that effect that was just placed on you. This can also be used on cards such as Steal or Swap that other players try to use. Each card has a different price on it. For example, the Easy Money card is 2 Goosebucks, while the Swap card is only 7 Goosebucks. So while it may be good to immediately buy the Easy Money card, you may want to save it because there's also cards like Steal that allow you to steal other players' cards. Also, keep in mind that every time you buy a card, it'll add to your counter, and that means you'll have to spin the wheel later. But we'll get to more on that later. When you roll, you have the opportunity to land on spaces like the goose space. And what the goose space does is whenever you roll on that space, it'll double the amount of spaces you go. And then there's also the freebie space. When you land on the freebie space, you'll gain +2 Goosebucks. Now, spaces like the goose space and the freebie space, those will add to your counter, which we'll get to in a little bit. There's also spaces that hinder you, like the Go to Jail space. When you land on that space, you go straight to jail, and you either have to pay Goosebucks or you have to use your sentence is lifted card. And when you land on these spaces, you will also deduct from your counter. There's 3 major zones in the game. Whenever you reach the end of the zone, that means it's time to spin the wheel. Now you spin the wheel based on how many times you marked on your counter. So when we spin the wheel, we'll either get safe or we'll get one of the grievances. So let's see what we get. Okay, so we got the honk grievance. So basically what that means is until our turn is skipped, and until our next turn, we must only communicate in honks. As you progress through the zones, each wheel will start getting progressively more risky. So keep that in mind as you buy cards in the second and third zones. So we'll spin it again and see if we don't get a grievance. Alright, so this time we were safe. Now, the game ends when a player rolls the die so that the piece can land on the final space. They must land exactly on the final space, otherwise, if they overshoot it, they will have to subtract the difference and go back how many spaces are left.